Well, in a day and age of Pinterest and Twitter and Facebook, you see a lot of recipes out there right now, and a lot of people are talking about healthy alternatives. You know, if they want to get away from using white flour or gluten entirely, some of the options that they can do there, trying to reduce the amount of sugar intake that they have in their diet. So today I'm joined by Joanne Smith, who is a registered dietitian, and we're just going to talk about what some of those maybe healthier options are, some of the different choices that you can make in your day-to-day cooking. So Joanne, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
And first of all, I want to talk about flour and gluten. They're two real major things for people.
Yes.
So if people want to avoid white flour but still enjoy or can have gluten, what can they do that's different?
So they can definitely bump up their fiber by having some whole wheat flour. You can't always just substitute whole wheat for white. Sometimes you have to play around with it a bit and try maybe half and half. Lots of times I will do that. I'll start out maybe 1/3 and 2/3, and then that works okay, go half and half, and then maybe 2/3, 1/3 white, and then perhaps you can just do entirely whole wheat flour, but it definitely will bump up the fiber in your diet.
Now, is that because of just the drastic change in flavor that people don't want to do just one for one and they want to kind of work into it?
Good question. It's actually more the texture and consistency because the whole wheat flour tends to absorb more of the moisture.
Right.
It'll make a drier, heavier product. And so you kind of have to just play around. I know my mom makes her own buns with the whole wheat flour, but she grinds her flour.
Oh, okay.
Because then the bran that's in the flour that tends to cut it so that it gets heavier is lighter, and so they're fluffier. So if you want to do that, you can get your own wheat and grind your own flour, and then that would be a really great healthy way to get your fiber and get it still a nice fluffy product.
Now, what about gluten-free? I know that you have a family member who has gone gluten-free.
We do.
And so one of the things that you've actually done in your pantry is you have a gluten-free shelf.
I do.
So that all the snacks are there and that sort of thing.
And it just sort of helps to keep things a little bit organized, and then they know where their area is that they can grab. There's also now some gluten-free flours that are available. There's the coconut flour. Actually have some of that. And I have a girlfriend in BC that has designed, she has celiac. And celiac is not the same as gluten sensitive.
Right.
Celiac, you can't even have anything that was manufactured where there's wheat. It's very severe, but if you're gluten sensitive, you still can. You just want to still avoid the gluten. But they're coming out with some really great products now that are so much more advanced than what they started with, just basically rice flour, you know, like the tapioca for thickening, and it was very powdery consistency. So getting some, you know, they're 1 for 1, and they're really good.
I'm also finding that a lot of grocery stores, they're of course picking up on this, and so you are seeing more gluten-free options. We even have some local bakers who have made their own gluten-free flour blends that you can buy. So there are some really good opportunities out there.
Very good.
Lunches and snacks. I think this is an area where our family, we struggle with a little more. Dinners, I find, are pretty easy to really plan them out, get them ready, and make healthier options. But those grab and go moments that we all have in life can be tough. So what are some things that we have here, and what are some alternatives or options that people can do?
Well, I know in the morning, if my kids get up late and they need something, we'll often have a protein granola bar and maybe some cheese, a Baby Bell or a cheese that they can grab and go. I'll often grab an apple and a piece of cheese and take off with that. If you can be organized and get some muffins made up ahead that have either protein, like put in some cheese and some meat in them, that would be ideal, because then you've got 3 of the 4 food groups in a muffin, or some really healthy whole wheat, you know, bran, raisin bran muffins or something like that with some cheese. So at least you have 2 of your 4 food groups.
Right.
So I guess probably one of the very best things is it should come from at least one of the 4 food groups of Canada's Food Guide, ideally 2. And I mean, there's lots of great things you can, fruit is always great, fruit and cheese is really great to grab on the way out.
And snacks, one of the things we were talking about before is what you have on hand, what you have out is what you're going to eat. So what do you do here?
So in our family, because I have 4 boys, and actually 5 boys, let's say that, we I find whatever I put out is what they will eat.
Right.
So if I set out this fruit bowl, which I just made up today, this will be gone by tomorrow probably. And two things I think is having a variety of fruit, like not, sometimes I'll do just a bowl of apples or just a bowl of oranges, but to have some variety, because there's so many fantastically nutritious, delicious foods to eat. And I really think the best way to get all the nutrients we need and avoid problems is to eat lots of different things.
Right.
And so having nice variety, having it look nice, because it always tastes better when it looks good. And then, you know what, they'll just reach by and grab it. Whereas if you had, say, a bowl of chips sitting out, then the chips will be gone by tonight because, and I probably be the worst one, I'll be grabbing chips. Another great alternative then for a snack instead of chips, which are higher in fat and higher in salt, is pretzels, because then you cut down on your fat a lot. There's still some salt. I always find with a lot of these pretzels that have the big kosher salt on the outside is I can flick lots of it off.
Right.
And even though it's a little bit messy, but it just cuts down on your salt. I sometimes just find them a little bit too salty. I can maybe eat one like this and then I kind of have to dip it or kind of chip it off. Another great snack with the pretzels or a plate of cut up vegetables is hummus.
Right.
Hummus is great. It's really high in protein, really low in fat. I send that in the kids' lunches lots of times in just a little container with some vegetables or with pretzels. And that's a really great snack to have.
And pretty easy to make. As I
easy.
mentioned, social media recipes are out there everywhere.
Absolutely.
You can find them. All right. Well, hopefully this will give you some ideas. I know that every time I talk with Joanne, I always take things away from you and go, oh, yes, I can do this. And it's so simple. So just little things that we can do within our diet, within our weeks to make it just a little simpler to eat healthy.
Absolutely.
So, awesome. Thank you so much, Joanne. Once again, Joanne Smith, a registered dietitian here in Medicine Hat. Hopefully it'll give you some ideas when you're looking at healthy eating.